Hey everyone, Patty Boy here. Welcome back. And as I said to you at the end of last video, it is probably the best time of the year. It's football season. And we are going to get into some tailgating. So, my wife and I, we have tickets for Penn State games, and we go to just about every single one of them. So we're getting ready to go to tomorrow's Penn State game. Today is Friday. It's Friday morning. Just got home from work. I'm going to get this ready for you. We're going to take care of this today. So what are we doing? We're going to season this up. This is a Boston butt, which basically it's not a butt off the pork. It is the shoulder, but for whatever reason, they call it the Boston butt. So we're going to get this thing. I trimmed a little bit of the fat off, but not all of it. Underneath here, and I'll show you this later when I season it, is a fat cap. And what we're going to do is we're going to season this whole thing, but then when we put it on the smoke to smoke it, we're going to have it upside down so the fat cap is on top. So then what happens is as that fat starts to work its way down in, it's going to marinate right into it. It'll run off, but it's also going to soak into the meat. And it's going to help keep it juicy and moist and flavorful along with this. And when it soaks in, it'll bring the smoke and the seasoning flavors in with it. If you remember, I did a ribs episode, several episodes right in a row that were all ribs. And when I got to the pork spare ribs, I had a rub that I use for pork, which is this one. This is my own rub. I came up with this. I worked on this for quite some time and came up with this. And I shared it with you back then, but I am going to share it with you again today. So, because that was ribs, this is pulled. This is going to end up being pulled pork when we get done with it. So, we're going to work all the way through this. It's going to be most all of the day today smoking this thing. I'm going to smoke it just like I did the turkey and the chicken. I'm going to do it on the Weber kettle grill with charcoal and with hickory wood. I've got small pieces and I've got big chunks, and we're going to smoke it that way. So let's get started. What do we do here? Like I said earlier, it's already trimmed. I got some of the fat off, not all of it. You don't want to get rid of all the fat. And the only thing left to do is to season it. So got this little dish here of this season. Like I said, I will share this with you, but just liberally, don't be shy with this. Put it on there. And you're going to want to do the whole thing. Do the top. Flip it around, get it patted in there a little bit so it'll stick. All right. And then do the sides. Just get everything. We don't want one-sided. Now, see this? Here's that. You can see this. This is that fat cap that I was telling you about. All right? So when we get that on there, we'll season this last. Get on the sides here. Flip this thing up here, and we'll get this side here. Oh, yeah. All right. So got just a little bit left. There we go. And you make sure that you get the fat cap as well. There's a little bit left here, so I'm just going to put it all in. Pat it in there nice so it stays. All right. So what we're going to do is, now that this is all covered, all covered with the seasoning, leave it just like this. Like I said, with the fat cap up. We're going to cover it with a little cellophane and let it set to get to room temperature while we're going outside and getting the grill set up to set it out there, get it out there, and get it smoked. All right? So when we come back, we'll be outside. We'll get this thing started, and then we're going to check in. Oh, and one other thing, too, that I wanted to mention. This thing, not only is this going to be covered with the seasoning, but I also have a mop. And I know in the last video, the rib videos, I talked to you guys about mops. So I have a apple vinegar mop that I'm going to use on this also. So it'll have the seasoning, it'll have the smoke, and then it'll have the mop. And the mop, and when we get outside, I'll explain that to you again. So let's get going outside, and I'll see you out there. All right, everyone, how's it going? Just checking in quick. We've been on here for only just a little over an hour, and there is one thing very important that I forgot to talk to you about. So when we do it on this here is actually quicker than if you do it on a traditional smoker, whether it's a pellet smoker or the other type where you actually have to build the fire. But still, you're looking at several hours, 4, 5, 6 hours. So make sure, because it's so long, you got plenty of beer. It's very important. All right? Okay. I talked to you guys before. We got the mop going here, so I'm just going to pull the lid off here and just give it its first mopping. All right? You want to wait until it's been in the smoker for about an hour, hour and a half, and it gets that first layer of smoke on it, and it gets the spices that you put on there. It gets them spices set into it, okay? The mop is very liquidy, all right? This is a vinegar base. It's vinegar and apple. It's vinegar base. It's very liquidy. What'll happen is if you put it on there too soon, once you start mopping it on, if the spices are not set, you're just going to wipe all them spices. The spices are all just going to run right off. So give it some time, to smoke for an hour, hour and a half, and then you can start mopping. So get this lid off here. Whew, look at that. See how dark and smoky that already is? Nothing special, nothing fancy, nothing extravagant, just mop it. Now listen, dab it, all right? That's it. Just like this, just dab it. Don't take your mop and start brushing, because just like I talked about wiping the spices off, if you brush it, you're going to wipe the spices, or you're going to brush the spices all off. So just dab it, just let it run over it, let it do its thing. That's it. There you go. See that? It's not rocket science, guys. Real simple. So, like I said, we've been about, oops, let me get back into you here. We've been about an hour and a half, so we still got several hours to go. I got plenty of beer. Don't worry about me. So I'll check back in a little bit. We are several hours into this, and I've got several times that I've had to add wood chips and charcoal and whatnot, and I've got several moppings into this, and I've got several beers, and we are just about a couple of degrees away from being done. I have the temperature on this set at 160. I like to get it somewhere between 160 and 165, so we're close. So we're going to let this thing go, and we'll take this off and just give you guys a quick look at it. Oh God, that thing looks so good. It smells so good. So as I said, we're only a few degrees away from being done. So I'm going to let this thing go, and once we get it done, get it off, let it rest for a little bit, and I will show you how we get this thing all chopped up and prepared and ready to go. Whew. Smoky, smoky. Oh, it's so good. All right. Another beer and a few more minutes, we'll be ready to go. All right, guys, there you go. She's done. I don't know, what was it, probably between 4.5 hours, somewhere in that neighborhood. So, if you have the traditional smokers, they talk about how when they do something like this, it's like 12 hours, 16 hours. I did this. This started life as an 8-pound Boston butt, 8 pounds, and I did it in between 4 and 4.5 hours. So the reason for that is, we're smoking this. I started at a very low temperature, but then after you get it smoked and get it started, you can turn the temperature up a little bit. And the reason for that is, in the charcoal grill, you're at a much closer proximity to the heat source, so it'll cook and smoke much quicker, and you'll still get the same end result. So you'll see, I'm going to leave this set. I just took it off. It's been off for about 5 minutes. I'm going to leave this set for, 15, 20 minutes, let it rest, and then we'll get it all chopped up. And I will show you how it all looks, what I do as far as getting this ready, because I separate everything. Separate the skin, separate the fat, chop the meat up, but then you mix it all together. So when you get a bite of this meat, you're going to get a bite of everything. You're going to get a bite of the meat. You're going to get a bite of the skin that has the seasoning on it. Plus, I still have the tin that has the grease in there. We will strain that and get all the bits and pieces out of it, and it'll just be, straight drippings that'll go right back into the meat, and that'll make it even more flavorful and moist, and it's going to be awesome. This is going to be really good. So we're here Friday at home, got this all ready to go, and I will show you later on here how we get this ready to go, chopped up, and even a little taste test, but then probably won't see you again until tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon when we're actually at the tailgate. So this is going to be a long video. I mean, normally I try to keep these things at about 10 minutes or less, and I know there has been a couple that have gone over 10 minutes, but there's going to be a lot of content here. This one's going to be fun. There's going to be a lot of video here. So we'll see you guys later on, and I'll show you the end product all chopped up and ready to go. So we moved to the other side here, got everything moved around a little bit, and we got started here, got her all cut up. So what I like to do is I use a cleaver. All right, I used to use these things, the bear claws, but I like the cleaver because the cleaver I can take and I can cut this into pieces, and then I use the cleaver to chop it up. So this is how I do it. You see, I got a pile here. All right, this is just the skin. This is where all the flavor is, the seasoning and whatnot. All right, so I take there and slice pieces of the skin off that has, and I make a separate pile. This is the fat, and then we'll cut the actual meat out. And you see all the juices and stuff are laying in the bottom of this. Okay, so this is just to show you, take a little piece off and cut it up even smaller, and then just chop it up. Get yourself a nice cleaver, good, thick, heavy, and chop it up. Doesn't have to be little teeny tiny pieces. Just chop it up so you can, fit it on a sandwich. And so then after I get all the meat, this one does have a bone in it. I'll get the bone out of there. But then after I get the meat chopped up, put it in there, then you take this, the skin with all of the seasoning and the herbs and spices, chop it up, and a little bit of the fat. I got a separate pile of the fat too. I don't need all the fat, but some pieces of the fat will go back into it. But the most important part is this, the skin with the seasoning on it. Take this and do the same thing. Get your cleaver, chop it up, okay? So then you can take this and get your seasoning, your flavor mixed right back into the meat again. All right, there. Then you get done with that. There's a lot of juice here that's in this pan. That'll go in. And then, as I said earlier, we have the other pan of the drippings. Those drippings will get strained and they'll get put in too. All right, so I think that's it for tonight. All right, everyone, here's one of our regular tailgaters, Willie. He's trying my pulled pork. Willie, how is it, boss?
Very good, excellent. Very tender, juicy. Sauce hits it up right. Can't complain at all.
Cheese? What do you want?
All right, everyone.
This is my first time trying Patty Boy's grill. Pulled pork. Looking really good.
So we got everyone here enjoying. Here's.
There you go.
Grab a fork now.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And our sauce is here.
All right, so there's the end product. We got her warmed up. Everybody's trying it out. I've got several sauces. I brought 2 store-bought, and then I brought 2 of mine.
I'm going to try some Jack Daniels 21 here.
There we go. So hopefully we can get a couple people trying the pulled pork and maybe get a review.
I don't want to buy
Yep. Get yourself a bowl.
This is an all-day thing, guys, and it's nothing but party and chaos.
Gas.
Which one is this? All right, we've got the Jack Daniels. We got Patty Boy's Jack Daniels sauce.
Yep. Try it.
Nice and juicy.
Yep.
So you guys saw yesterday when we did the pulled pork, we separated everything out.
Gotta try it.
The skin, the fat, chopped everything up, and then added the drippings back into it.
Very good.
Keeps it nice and moist. There you go, guys. This is how you do tailgate.